Welcome to Node Mode, the NFT podcast on digital art. I talk with artists, OG collectors, and the smartest people in the space about all things NFTs. As usual, nothing in this video is financial advice. We're not financial advisors, and the NFT space is incredibly risky. So always do your own research. And if you like the content, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and share. Always love spreading the gospel of digital art, as I call it. Today, we are joined by the incredible Cath Simard. Cath is an elite photographer, mountain athlete, I would call her, and has been crushing it selling her art and photography this last year through NFTs. A welcome sight since most people are just hanging out behind their computers. We got someone like Cath on the show that actually gets outside, so I'm excited to talk with her about that. Cath, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Really excited to be here. And I don't know if I consider myself a mountain athlete, but I'll take it. I'll
I
take it.
you totally. I mean, look, based on your pictures, you look very athletic. And just getting out to Patagonia, and being able to trek through stuff. Most of these people, we can't get I can barely get across my backyard to my backyard shed office. So, you're definitely, I would say, a cut above the rest of us. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I try. Like there is definitely some physical preparation between before going to do like a long trek. So I definitely need to do that. But I would say that there's a big part of it that is very mental. So like I can carry some pretty heavy load on my back, like 50 pounds. I'm about 120 pounds, so it's like half of my weight.
Hey, yeah.
But I think that most of it is definitely mental, I would say.
Yeah, oh, that's for sure. And you're getting a lot of love just in the comments. Look at that. We got Witters here saying she's obsessed with you. Rich likes JPEGs, just has Cath with exclamation points. So people are excited to have you on the show. I'm excited. A little background. Cath is in a garage right now, a remodeled garage. That's what you told me, right? Epic place to be living with some really cool mood lighting in the back there.
Yeah, I love it. I usually put those lights when I'm in like editing mode. So I've been trying to edit quite a bit over the past week. But this is like my little box. Like this is my little comfort zone where I like to come here like in between my trips. So I do travel a lot. I probably travel like 8 months a year. So I need like a base camp
Jeez.
for in between my trips. And I don't need like anything super big. So I'm just like really happy with this. And it's like my little editing bubble where I can chill.
I love that. That is amazing. So, and if for people that aren't aware, so you're living in Canmore, which is like one of the most beautiful places on Earth. Banff area is incredible. But you like, I mean, let's go back. I feel like I want to start. You basically had a total like change in your life path, essentially. 10 years ago, what were you doing?
10 years ago, I was doing modeling. So I started doing modeling back when I was 15. And I did that, yeah, for 9 to 10 years. And I think also 10 years ago, I might have been studying fashion. So I wanted to become a fashion designer. However, I was the worst at like sewing clothing. So I was just not really good with that kind of stuff. But I really appreciated the art direction. So eventually I started doing a little bit more of fashion styling, which is working with clothing that is already made. And yeah, doing some art direction. And yeah, that's what I was doing 10 years ago. So I think it's pretty crazy to look back now, just hiking up mountains. It's definitely like a 360, I would say.
That is incredible. So are you now, I mean, I feel like you're kind of straddling several different industries that nobody would think would connect, right? So you've got NFTs, you've got photography and just Web3 in general, and then combining it with the outdoor kind of world. Like, do you interact with, I mean, I'm from Jackson Hole, so it's like I grew up in like the middle of just everyone's like, I had all my friends were like sponsored by like North Face and stuff. And the girl I took to prom, she's now like a pro skier and is just crushing it. Do you actually end up like interacting in that world at all, like with the other mountain athletes out there? Or do you feel like you're still kind of separate from them?
I definitely do interact with them. So when I was in El Chalten this year, El Chaten is a huge hub for mountain climbers. So that was really cool to be in contact with athletes who actually like climb up peaks. Like I
Yeah.
like to photograph them from the grounds, but they climb up there and they are living like the full dirtbag life, just
Yeah.
like living off nothing. So I find them really inspiring. And I'm also in contact sometimes with like mountaineers. So I would love to get a little bit more into that because I think it can help me a lot as an artist reach some more like remote places and access like unique viewpoints, which is really important with my work. So yeah, I try to like kind of like gravitate around athletes because I think that this is somewhere where I would like to progress into my career. So yeah, those people are always the best. Like others
Yeah.
people are the best.
They are. I totally agree. And that's why, I mean, I was excited to have you on the show because I'm like, I mean, just getting people that hang out outside, they're all always my favorite kind of people, you know? Like I feel like you should chat with have you met or chatted with Jimmy Chin yet? I feel like you're at that level.
Yeah, I have not, but I know right now he's on Super Rare, and I believe he's about to do a space. So maybe I'll try to like hop in the space and chat a bit with him. But I would love to have some conversations with him. That's for sure.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know he was about to do a drop. That would make sense, for sure. Okay, so I want to learn more about how you actually got people to pay attention to your work in NFTs because it's photography is still. I mean, I basically think of you and Justin Aversano. Like you're the only people that have really like broken through. And I'm sure that there's lots of really good photographers in the NFT space, but not a lot of people have found the success that you have. What did you do in the beginning to just start like getting your work out there and get people to notice you?
Yeah, it's a good question. I never really know how to answer that. But I would say that I really took my time. So originally, I discovered the world of NFTs back in January 2021. And I started to like obsessively spend too much time on Clubhouse. So
Oh, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So back in the days, that was like Clubhouse. Everybody was in there sharing about their work. I've always been like a very timid artist. So for me, it was not super straightforward to jump on stage and talk about my work. But I would actually give myself some like daily challenges to do like one interaction per day on stage just to like introduce myself or whatever. So I really, really pushed myself for that because I had in mind that it would be this with Twitter, like the only way really to get my name out there and have people understand a little bit more about my work. So that's really how I started with Clubhouse. And I waited a long time before minting my Genesis piece where we're seeing here. I think it was like in May. Yeah, May 23rd.
Yeah, so this was your
So
Genesis piece here, Eureka.
yeah, Eureka.
Nice.
Yeah, and so I waited like a few months before even thinking of minting something because I really wanted to make sure that my first few pieces minted would be very much aligned with my creative vision as an artist. I think that the way that you present your work out to the world is very important. I prefer to wait and price it as a price point that I felt was fair for my work. So I could have started back in January like mint an edition and call it a day, right?
Yeah.
But I'm usually very slow and methodical, even within my work, but like in general. So I did a lot of thinking. I also launched a like promotional video to promote this specific drop. So it was a drop of 4 images, and one of them included in real life trip with me, which is called Le Départ. And I think that really helped me stand out as an artist. So I guess my entry within the NFT world was a little bit like helped by offering something a little bit more than just the image, and then offering an image with the trip helped me stand out as an artist. And yeah, that's how I started. So a lot of thoughts into the promotion, into how I want to present my work. I even had like a page on my website, which I still have, which describes what was the idea behind like this Genesis drop with the 3 caves and the 1 canoe shot. So I did put a lot of thoughts in there, and I think that people appreciated the quality of it rather than just, minting something quick and make a quick buck, if that makes sense.
Oh, totally. And it feels like, essentially every image obviously has an awesome story behind it, because you literally have to get to that location, right? And you've got to get there. And so it for me anyway, that's what makes them, every single one of these is really cool, because I know that you literally, this wasn't like, hey, I walked out into my backyard and took a picture. Like, this is, you spent, I mean, I imagine, why don't you give people a feel for what it takes to plan out like one of these photos?
Yeah, maybe I can take the second image, like Perseverance, which is here. It was collected by Dees.
Oh, nice.
Perseverance. So that's actually a spot that I've hiked a few times, and it takes about 30 kilometers one way to reach that spot. So I don't know how much in miles, like 17, maybe
Yeah.
16
Yeah.
miles.
It's a lot of miles. Yeah. It's at least
Yeah.
like 15, 17 miles. Yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. And the first time I visited this specific location, I actually ended up just like doing the trek myself, bringing everything with me, my tent, my sleeping pad, all of my camera gear. And I reached out the spot and the conditions were not great. So I ended up just like staying up all night, try to like capture the stars, and also blue hour, but the conditions were like horrible. So I decided to just hike back and then try again the next year. So that composite was shot the next year, where I hiked again 30 kilometers. I spent a few days in the wild, in this area, capturing the different pieces. So I captured the foreground at blue hour, and then I stayed up there and then captured the night sky a little bit later. So that required about like 2 years of planning, scouting, shooting, and at least a few weeks or months to put all of the pieces together, because this is a composite image. It's not like a single shot, and that's how I like to do most of my art. So yeah, that was a lot. You're pretty sore when you go like 17-mile back and forth, like 34 miles, and I couldn't walk for like a week after. It was brutal.
That
But
is insane. That is insane. So I mean, that I feel like it definitely gives people a good idea of the time that it takes and the effort that it takes to put into it. I know you put out a couple tweets, which, helps to explain your process. And I think it's really cool just to see how much you enjoy your craft and how much you put into it. Can you explain like what a composite is, so, for those of us that don't fully understand it?
yeah, for sure. So a composite is basically when you have different elements and you put everything together using a software. Usually it's Photoshop. So it's not a single shot. And technically, when you do a composite, it can be many things. So it can be a foreground with a sky that you would photograph separately and then put everything together. But it can also be like a simple technique, let's say like focus stacking, where you just leave the camera on the tripod and then you take multiple exposures at like different sharpness, and then you put everything together to create an image that is sharp from the front all the way to till the back. So this really like the action of merging multiple images together. But for me, composite photography is really a way to express myself above like the simple fact of like recording reality. So I like to go out in the wild with the intention to capture the different elements separated, and then to put everything together during the editing process, which I think is like a huge part of my signature style. So it's pretty rare that I want to stay fully true to reality. Um, Actually, when I started photography, like I would say that I was doing a little bit more of like landscape photography and wanted to stay true to reality. But eventually, my style progressed where I just really wanted to find a way to elevate the landscape to a place that it feels like I'm including a part of myself within the landscape. So that's where composite photography for me makes a lot of sense, because it allows me to fully like be creative with photography without any sort of limitations.
I love that. So it feels like, it allows you to continue to be even more of an artist, right? Like you get to create even more beyond just one image. So I want to take like this one, for example, Mantra. looks amazing.
Thank you.
So tell me, yeah, I mean, tell me about how you like how the sky. So is the sky, you photographed the sky like at night on a long exposure as it rotated or something? Tell me about how you made this one in particular, because I'm fascinated by it.
Yeah. So this specific image was captured during a trek in Peru. It's like an 8-day trek. And I've already like researched the area a little bit before. Like I like to have an idea of what I will photograph and already kind of like conceptualize the images that I will create. So I already knew that there was going to be like this sort of like mountain range down there, and I've already imagined capturing this scene with the stars. So when we arrived there, actually, it was like after an insane day, like of 12 hours of hiking in high altitude. I think it was like on day 3 of the trek. And I was with 2 guys, and basically, like, we went to sleep. And I decided to wake up at night and go photograph the night sky from our campsite. So I just photographed the night sky all night. And this is like a massive panorama. So this is not a single shot, it's multiple images all stitched together. And when you do that, this really allows you to kind of like see the arch of the Milky Way appearing. So it's impossible to capture the sky like that, in a single shot. So it's just like
Yeah.
a technique where you will stitch everything together. And then instead of going back to sleep, I just decided to stay awake, and I actually photographed the mountain range at sunrise. So all of the elements in this image were captured in the same spot. And then I basically merged everything in Photoshop. So the Milky Way is actually flip for the reflection. And, there was a reflection in the stars, but usually the way that stars reflect in the water, there's like a little like blur, right? And for me, for this specific image, I didn't really want it to stay true to reality. I wanted to create an image that is like an elevated reality. And that's why I decided to basically duplicate the layer and then flip it to create something that is like, almost too perfect. But that's what I like to create. I like to, having, people like you being like, okay, this is fascinating. What happened there? Like, tell me what is true, what is not true. And I think this is what maybe like makes it in composite photography like a little bit more interesting, at least to me.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, I initially kind of thought when I was learning about composite photography, I thought, okay, they're just going to throw in some editing to kind of alter things. But to me, it almost sounds like everything that you do, all of this is comes from an image that you took, though, right? Like, there's nothing that wasn't photographed in this image.
No, no, exactly. Like every single element that I include in my images, they come from images that I have photographed, and most likely like from the same area. I
Yeah.
try now to photograph all elements from the same area. I think it's almost like a cool challenge for me to see, okay, I'm gonna create a composite from like different elements. So like I could photograph a plant and then the background and then a tree and then the sky and then the tent all from the same area, and then create something. So right now this is my process. But when I started, I was mixing skies that I have taken in Nepal with like foregrounds that I have taken in Patagonia. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna mix everything together, like no limitations. But now I have more joy in mixing elements that are taken from the same spot.
Very cool. I mean, even still, it amazes me that everything came from an image that you took, right? Like it's not like, you got people in the chat that are asking, okay, is this AI generated? It's like, no, this is not generated by AI. This is generated by, all of it is photography. And I think I kind of like the direction that you've gone as well, by saying, hey, I'm going to get all these images from the same area. Maybe it just feels a little more authentic or something to your trip, I would guess, right?
Yeah, for sure. So for me, the goal is not to capture a single moment in time, it's to capture an experience. So when I look at this image, I remember, okay, I stayed up all night in the freezing cold alone by myself. That was awesome. Looking at the sky. And then I remember staying up for sunrise and capturing this mountain range. So like the memory is like a memory of an experience rather than a moment in time. So it's still a reality, but it's a reality like over multiple hours rather than just like a second.
That's really cool. It makes me almost make it feel yeah, like it's even a little more like inclusive to your entire experience, right? Because you had to take several images, and it helps people to maybe, if they understand it well enough, they can see that, yeah, like not only did it take you a long time to capture this stuff, but it also helps to encapsulate like the way that you felt while doing so, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
man, this image is amazing. I want to hear about this one. Is this you right here in the red?
Yeah, that's me. That's me. I love it because like every time I include myself in the photo, people are like, "Who pressed the shutter?" Because they can, and I'm
You're
like,
like, the year is 2022, you know?
yeah, I'm like, yeah, but I can understand that because, maybe that's the old way to do it. But I love to include myself in landscapes. I think it really helps giving some scale for me, even, and sometimes it helps me connect with the memory even better. This is actually a big panorama. So like I just photographed the landscape with multiple shots. And then I started a time lapse. So the beauty of time lapse is you can just like leave the camera on the tripod, and then you can run anywhere you want, and then the camera just takes multiple shots. And this is exactly what I did here. I just ran in the front, and I took like I try to stay as still as I can, and then I just move within the frame, and then coming back, I just picked the best posing or position, and then I just included it in post production in Photoshop. So that's how I do it.
Wow. Where is this exactly?
That's in Iceland.
Oh, wow.
I
Cool.
can't pronounce the name of the glacier. Svinafelljökull. I don't know.
That sounds amazing. Yeah, you could leave it there, man.
I'm just gonna say that. I don't know if it's the right pronunciation, but it's actually my favorite spot in Iceland. Every single time I land in Iceland, I just rent a car and I drive there. Like summer, winter, any time of the year, it's really beautiful. And especially during winter when the icebergs are like frozen. So even like when you go down like super close, like there's crazy like ice formations, and then you have the glacier in the background, and it's just beautiful. I really love this place.
Yeah, it looks insane. We got a shout out to my guy. He goes by Miho. Michael just says every one of these is beautiful. We
Thank
got Joey Badaboom in the chat says so dope. And you know what? Coming from, if you've ever watched the show, I mean, you don't see a lot of what Joey Badaboom says, like because I don't share a lot of his comments. If he says something nice, this is good. So thank you, Joey. That's a really good that is
you.
a yeah, it's a big compliment there.
I appreciate it.
Oh, of course. So this is really cool. I want to learn. I want to learn like you. We've got a feel for your work. You've done incredible work. I know there is one piece that has been kind of a really big, kind of groundbreaking piece, I would call it. Let me see if I can find it here before I call. There we go. The
Yeah.
free Hawaii photo. I want to go over this because I know you were one of the first, and this is CCO, right? So I want to hear the story behind this, and then let's talk about your decision to make this CCO and kind of what your whole goal was behind this photo.
Yeah. So it's actually almost CCO. I would love to move forward with the full CCO. I need to talk to G Money about it.
Oh
Um,
yeah, nice. Yeah.
yeah, but it's a license that you could say it's CCO. Basically, you can do anything you want except minting it as is. But even today, like when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, whatever. If people mint it as is, then it's just going to increase the value of the original one of one that was minted on Super Rare. So the story behind this image is that this is like by far my most stolen work, like in history, even today. And it's so strange because it's so outside of my usual work. It's first of all, it's green. It's like it's lush. Like I'm
It's
used
on
to
a road. Yeah.
the road. Like I'm used to like hike like hundreds of kilometers to capture mountains, and like it's usually like mountains with snow and night shots. But for this specific shot, like even the way I captured it was like very simple. I just showed up, and then I just put my tripod on the road, and then I just shot it, and then that's it. It was very simple image. But the minute that I started sharing it on Instagram, it became viral, like crazy. I've never seen
So
anything
cool.
like that. It started being used by like multiple travel pages, even travel agencies, even um, like hotel websites, all without credits or any sort of compensations. And like when I started, I was like, oh, like I wonder if this is normal. Like I was literally just starting within photography, so I was not really aware of everything that surrounds like copywriting and stuff like that. So eventually I decided to contact a company which acts as like um an intermediate for like claiming back like
Mm.
not rights, but I guess like fees for illegal use and stuff like that. And unfortunately, because most of these companies were like using those images on Facebook and social media, it's very difficult to like claim back some of that money because it's used on social media. So I don't know, like when I started thinking about this project, I really wanted to make it meaningful. And I was starting to think about, okay, well, this image is like so viral. What the hell am I going to do with it? Like, how can I flip the script or make something different? And at that time, I was working with my good friend, Matt Scoble, and we were kind of like pitching ideas. And eventually we were like, well, what if we just let it go, like release the rights, and instead of like trying to chase the bad guys, what if we just like claim back our power by letting it go? And this
Mm.
is where the idea came from, like from a late night smoking, drinking, just like pitching crazy ideas. And we just decided to move forward with it. So he worked on a promotional video to explain the concept, website, and yeah, this is where the idea came from. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, well, the more it makes sense, because let's say if you know get in a plane and you see that image on the cover of a magazine, or and then you get out of the plane and you see it like a giant billboard, like the owner of the one of one like will be pretty much stoked to have like the one of that specific image. So the more the widespread use of an image, the more the value of the NFT, the one of one, will increase. And that was the entire thesis behind that. And I think that by letting go of the power, it's also a way for me to like reclaim power over my image. And I'm pretty happy I did that. And I would love if people make even more derivatives of it now. I think it's like, yeah, I think it's just like part of the thesis. So yeah, that's the story behind it.
That's incredible. And I mean, obviously it also worked out well for you, right? You sold it to G Money for, was it 100 ETH?
Yep.
And that is such a cool model, like where you get it, and yeah, any derivatives are going to benefit you as the artist and G Money as the collector, right? So I think that's just incredible. Do we got people in the comments. We gotta start asking you questions about what you like to collect in NFTs yourself. Somebody says, when are we going to talk about dick butts? You're a fan of the dick butts, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah, I own one, and dude, I'm bullish. I'm very bullish on the dick butts. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm an OG dig butt. Like I think that when I collected mine back in, I don't know, maybe like September, maybe October. I don't really remember. Um, I was just like, I love the community. It's so ridiculous. It's so stupid
Yeah.
that for me, like I just feel like sometimes like NFTs are very serious. So when this happened, like I have a pretty like weird humor sometimes, and I just felt like it was perfectly aligning. Also, I did get influenced a little bit by Batsupium because I saw that he had a ton of dick butts, and I was like, man, I just want one. So I got mine. And I actually showed up in Miami last year with like a shirt with a dick butt and like, and then anyway, I was like representing, but like I just have one, so I'm not really pumping my bags, right? I just have one. And I don't think I will ever sell it, but I just love the community around it, and the fact that it's like so ridiculous and it makes you laugh. It allows you to make really inappropriate and bad jokes. And I think it's important. Like the memes are so important within NFTs, and I feel like the memes are even stronger when the bear market is like, really bad. Um, there's always a comeback of the memes. I feel like people are just like, fuck this bear market, like let's just have some fun, and then the memes explode every single time. Like we see, like, yeah, like a kind of like a dip, I guess. So I love it. So I only collect, I only have one. For the rest of things that I collect, I like to collect photography in general, even a
Mm.
little bit of like 3D, but just like photography. I like to support my friends, emerging artists. So yeah.
That's amazing. Before I talk about the other artist that you're interested in, yeah, I just want to let anyone that's unaware, if you look at the collector base of crypto dick butts, you would be shocked. I mean, it's somebody today on Twitter just said something like, max pain is when people realize that the community of dick butts is like the most elite in all of Web3. And I told them, I think we might already be there. Like the holders of the dick butts. I mean, these are people that hold punks, and we got Sergito. I think D's has plenty. I mean, a lot of the OGs, I feel like in the space, they all have dick butts because we all get it. It's just hilarious. And the meme is going to be more powerful than probably most anything that's going to outlast. Like, you're not going to forget these things. So yeah, I'm right there with you. I want to hear about some of the photographers that you like that you want to give a little shine to. I'm excited to learn more because I feel like I don't know enough about the photography side of things. Yeah, let's go through a few of your favorites.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna start with Mind's Eyes. Like, I actually haven't collected anything from him because he's too expensive for me. But he's an amazing photographer with a very distinctive style. He loves to photograph like cityscapes. Like, all of his images are very painterly. Like, every single time I look at his images, and I'm like, man, is this a painting? Like, how was he able to like transform like this specific let's say spot that he has photographed back in my hometown Quebec into this like masterpiece that looks like this old painting. He's really amazing. Mind's Eyes.
So
uh
let's see if I
yeah,
can find him on Twitter.
MIND
Mind's Eyes.
MENMINDZ. I was gonna say it in French.
BZ. Okay, let's
Z.
see it. Mind's Eyes.
Okay, wait. Give me one sec. Let me try to find it. M.
Yeah.
Okay, MINDZEYE. Mine's I. There's no S at the end. I don't know.
Mind's Eye. There we go. Boom. Michael
Check this out.
Sadovsky.
Yeah,
Boom. I'm gonna follow him right now. Okay, so
he is amazing.
this is photography right here.
That's photography.
Wait,
It
what?
looks like a painting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, his stuff
That's
is amazing. Yeah, and I would say he's an OG. Like, his style has been copied by so many. He's really truly authentic within his style, and he finds like those crazy angles, which I haven't seen before. The way he edits, it's just like he does incredible like dodging and burning. He adds some effects. So for me, like, I think it's really really cool when you see photographers that have like such a specific and distinctive style. Yeah, you can see now on his super rare, he's been collected by Kozomo, Batsu,
6529 Fund has got
like,
it.
yeah, I think he's one of the best out there, but
This is I don't know how I've missed him. So this is
yeah,
just absolutely, I can't believe this is photography.
yeah, yeah, I love it. So like, it's photography, it is surreal. So I guess maybe I like to collect stuff that or I'm drawn to stuff that is a little bit outside of reality, just naturally.
Yeah.
Like, I love documentary photography, but I don't think it's really the type of things that I would be naturally drawn to. So yeah, so he's my guy, like an amazing person as well, super humble.
That is cool. Yeah, Cause has this piece. How do
Yeah,
you pronounce this one? I feel like you would know.
Rue de l'Abreuvoir.
Ou de l'Abreuvoir. Very good.
You need
How did I do?
you need to roll the R a bit more. Rue de l'Abreuvoir.
Okay, yeah, I won't even try. My kids are in French immersion actually, so that'll be cool. They're gonna
That's
they're gonna be
great.
able to speak French.
Yeah,
You'd be proud of them.
yeah,
This is so cool. Like, okay, so I didn't this I mean, Mind's Eye is already, has already made it. I didn't even know about him. And this is, you know what? I think I have seen some of his work because it just looks amazing, but I never, I probably didn't even realize it was photography. It literally looks like it's
A
just
painting, right?
totally a painting. Yeah, that's incredible.
Yep.
Okay, so oh yeah, and it looks like you've got NorCal guy. He collected like one of your first works, right? I thought I saw him on your page.
Yeah, he collected my Genesis, and he has also a few other pieces. I would say he's my biggest collector. So
Oh
shout out
wow,
to him as
nice.
well. Yeah.
Hey, so by the way, I'm curious about how have you like met or chatted with a bunch of your collectors and like what's that like? Do they all like get together and chat about okay, like what is the next big thing or what are those conversations like when you're actually chatting or meeting your collectors?
Yeah. I usually meet them on a one-of-one basis. Like I wish I had a group chat with everybody, but I feel like sometimes, like imagine if every artist would create a group chat with all of their collectors. I think it would be a little bit overwhelming.
Overwhelming? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I like to chat with them like on a one of one by DMs, and then if we can meet up, for coffee, lunch, dinner, whatever, keep them updated about my future plans. I actually chat a lot with Norcal. I like to have this relationship, and like they're part of your team. So like, I think it's okay to like ask some feedback about specific projects. Like for example, I just released like an AI inspired commission, which was like really it, it was um it was a very ambitious project, so I needed like a lot of feedback about it. So I did ask a lot of advice to collectors, but even non-collectors, because I just wanted to gather as much feedback as possible. So yeah, like I consider them my friends, most of them. Some of them they're just busy, whatever, and I think that's fine. But if I can keep this relationship and see them, like at events, like for example, I saw an Oracle guy Batsupiam on the last Miami Art Basel. So that was really fun. I really appreciated it.
Oh, that's awesome. And I remember, and I want to get more context because I forgot you basically did something where a collector is going to send you where like next year somewhere across the world. Tell us about that. And has the location been chosen?
The location has been chosen, yes. So the project was that a collector would create a piece of AI using EPOLabs. EPOLabs has two different AI. They have the EPOLabs AI and a Stable Diffusion AI. So they would create any piece, any style, anything. You could even create an abstract piece. And then basically the winning piece with the winning bid would act as inspiration for the creation of a one of one. So the winning piece was by Lost Infinity, and the piece looks like pretty much China. So right now I'm like researching China, and I've actually found some spots that I think could be very similar to the piece that he created. So my job will be to go to China and then like create a piece that is inspired by his AI generated piece. And yeah, I think some people thought I was crazy doing that because I think it's a big commitment as well, right? It's like to go somewhere to recreate a piece, but for me it was a really nice challenge. I I got this crazy idea. I couldn't get it out of my head. I just decided to move forward, execute it, and then do it. And now I'm going to China. So, I think it's a win-win for everybody.
That is so cool. Okay, so are you going to spend a lot of? I mean, how long do you think you're going to have to be out there?
So because I have already found the spot, I think maybe like a few nights there will be enough if conditions are okay. But I'm planning at least 3 weeks down there to create that one piece. And actually, usually, when a piece requires a lot of hiking and scouting, I usually create one piece if per maybe 1 month and a half of trekking scouting. That's my general timeline for creating like a single piece. So even like 3 weeks might be a little bit tight, but at least I don't think I'm going to need to hike that much because from the location I have found, it's pretty much straightforward. So I think it's going to be more in terms of logistic because I'm not sure how easy it is to travel in China. So I'll need to make a bit more research about it for sure.
Wow, that is so I love that idea. I mean, it just sounds like a ton of fun. You then got to like figure out, so did they just create the piece, and then you basically had to say, okay, where's the area that looks most like this, and I have to go to that location? Or did they kind of specify, did Lost Infinity be like, well, this is in China somewhere? How did that was it just purely on your research?
Purely on my research. He
Oh,
didn't say
cool.
anything. Yeah, no, no. I mean, I have an idea that he would like me to go to China. But like honestly, like as soon as the auction stopped, I was already on the computer, like on Google Earth, and like
So cool.
I didn't sleep. Like as soon as the auction stopped, I like literally stayed up all night for like 10, 12 hours and then made some research. And I've already found some spots that could fit with the image. So yeah, I'm really excited about it.
That is amazing. Well, I'm looking forward to it. So I want to hear your thoughts on, I mean, you mentioned about every month and a half is how long it takes you to produce a work. How do you think about supply as an artist? I mean, you're kind of naturally baking it in because it takes you so long to trek to places and do all of this. I mean, but there's a lot of artists out there that are releasing works every week and, dropping editions all the time. And I always find it fascinating as a collector. I'm always wondering, what's the right amount and how often should people do this? What are your thoughts on that? And how have you decided to approach it?
Yeah, I think I've already taken the very scarce approach. I mean, I have participated in collaborative drops such as Time Magazine, and then also the Noble Cards. So I view this as a little bit different than like me dropping stuff on my own. But yeah, like I mean, if I if I start dropping work every week, like yes, I still have a bank of works that I have created before, but I'm gonna be out of work like within the next like 5 months. So I prefer to just perhaps like stay a little bit more scarce. And like I think, if you can drop editions every week or every month and then sell completely, then that's totally fine. But I do feel like maybe having like too much supply out there versus what you're able to sell is something that you need to be mindful. And it's like that with pretty much every industry. So you need to treat your work as a business as well, and then monitor the demand for your own work. If I feel like there is in like sufficient demand like for a specific moment in time, then I'm not going to drop anything. So yeah, I think every strategy is good, but for me, I would rather really monitor the demand rather than drop something to make a quick buck and then perhaps like sell something at like a price that doesn't feel fair to me or something like that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally does. Have you done any editions yet?
Yeah, I did my first edition, Trill and Star Hotel, back in December 30th. So that was on my birthday, and I think I was like one of the first photographers to drop like bigger editions like that. And that edition went really well. It sold out in just a few minutes. But I think what really helped me was to let my community curate the drop. So what I did is that I had 4 images, and then I did like 3 different battles within those images. And then the image that got the most votes was the one that got minted. So for me, it was a way to create some like excitement around my work, let my community decide about the image that they want to be minted. And yeah, and then I just decided to drop it. I dropped, I think it was a supply of 222, and at point 22, and it sold out very quickly. And it's actually been like holding a pretty good floor for the last 6 months. So I think that if I would have dropped editions like this every month, I'm unsure if I would be able to like hold such a floor. I think that the scarcity comes into play here, to be fully transparent. So yeah, that's how I think about that.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I feel like I end up asking guests about editions all the time because it's so hard for me to wrap my mind around as a collector. I'm always trying to compare like the market cap of an edition to a one of one and see
Yeah.
like, okay, what's a fair price. And shout out to Brian Brinkman, who kind of like walked me through that process of trying to think about how you can view editions. And yeah, I'm curious to see what ends up happening because a lot of artists dropping open editions, which is, it's almost always great for the artist, not almost always great for the collector, in my opinion, just because
Yeah.
it's hard to know what the supply is going to end up at. And
Yeah.
so I typically steer free a little bit of those.
Yeah. Maybe not great for a collector if you see this as an investment, but if it's like purely for collecting the art, then I think it's just like a good way to collect a piece of art from your artist. But I can understand that open editions can be a bit tricky if you're seeing this as an investment. I haven't done any open editions yet. And I think that timing is very important as well. Like, I wouldn't want to drop an open edition when I feel like maybe it's a little bit more dead in the market. Maybe I've already dropped too much stuff like a month before. Like, I feel like the timing needs to be right as well.
Yeah, and it feels like a lot. The problem now that I have with open editions is that a lot of people now expect that it's going to turn into something else, like it's going to turn into this ticket to some special thing. And, Drift, who I should have mentioned earlier, Drift is a fantastic, obviously, photographer as well in the NFT space. And like, he got a lot of flack for his open edition because people were thinking they were going to get something. And he was like, dude, this is going to support an amazing cause. And I just told you that the utility is the art. It's the image. And so I think that's why I have a little bit of a hard time with open editions, because people are beginning to just buy them not for the art. And so, yeah, if you ever do an open edition, just let us know what you're going to do. If it's just open, or if it is a ticket to some amazing excursion in Alaska with Cath Simard. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it would be hard, because what if 10,000 people buy this open edition? I don't think I can bring 10,000 people.
Well, don't worry. I'm trying to think of, it's like doing a warranty on a product, right? You know that only like 1% of people at most are actually going to come through. And so that might make it a little more doable for sure.
True. That's true.
Man, this has been so great. I really appreciate you joining. I want to know what's your advice, before we end things, what's your advice for people entering the space, whether they're a photographer themselves and want to create, or whether they're a collector? Let's pretend you're talking to, just some random people that have not entered Web3 yet. What would you tell them in order to get started?
Yeah. So for collector, I think it's very hard for me to give advice because I'm not a collector. I would personally say don't buy the hype. I think it's easy to like enter and be like, oh, okay, like, even like, let's say, take me as an example. Okay, I'm having like a lot of exposure or whatever, people are talking about me. Like, I would almost prefer if that collector just like take their time to make their research first, rather than just buy the hot artists of the moment, because there's a lot of really incredible emerging artists out there. So I would say just like take your time, don't buy the hype. And then for artists, I guess it's pretty much similar to my own personal journey. I took my time before dropping anything. I know there's a lot of artists right now who are entering the space hoping to make some money, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think everybody wants to make a living off their passion, so that's fine. But I think that we need to take a bit more an approach that our art is our legacy. So, like when you mint something on the blockchain, it's like forever. Like, yes, you can burn it, but still, I think we should take it as like something really important as part of like the journey of an artist. So take your time, like think about what message you want to communicate. Don't hesitate to maybe like take the time to promote your drops, like make some videos to explain your process as an artist. Take the time to jump on spaces to talk about your story. Take the time to be part of the community, share other people's work before asking people for money to buy your own work. So yeah, that would be my advice. Just really try to include yourself in the community and try to help other people first. So yeah, that's what I think it works best.
Oh, that's perfect. It reminds me too of did you see Dmitry Cherniak's drop, the Light Years one that he just did? He did an amazing job of creating an entire experience around it, right? He did this whole documentary kind of piece about it, and it just elevated the collection in my mind a
Yeah.
ton. So I think that's really great advice. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining, everyone. Thanks for joining in the comments. If you want to follow Cath, she's on Twitter. Cath, is it Cath _ Simard, I think?
Cath Simard _.
Oh, Cath Simard _ Nice. Just like, yeah, I do the underscore at the end. You've also got a troll out there. Is it your brother that's Matt Simard?
Oh my God.
I was trying to find the picture. I couldn't find it earlier, but it's like a picture of you. You're like in your teens sitting at a computer. you know, messing around with the, you know, pixelated dick butts on your computer. Tell us the story about that. What's going on there?
So I introduced my brother to the NFT world back in like December 2021, and ever since he's been the worst fucking troll.
Sounds like you regret it deeply.
He also made my dad buy ETH at the top, so
Oh,
it's
yeah,
gonna
that's
be,
going well.
yeah, that's it. It's going well. You know, he's just being a brother. He just likes to troll
So
me. He
fun.
just find like the most horrendous photographs from like when I was like younger. Like he also minted like another photo of me dressed as a princess in a Halloween, and just because I look scary in that photo, and he minted it and sold it. So
It's like, and it's like you're getting mad. It's like you're mad at your brother for selling your childhood pictures, but you're like, well, more power to you. You know, it's like kind of
yeah,
like touche.
that's it.
You're selling it
He
too.
he literally made 4 ETH of trolling me.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I know, good on him. But yeah, so that's what's going on. I did ask him to lower the trolling a bit. I'm like, you know, it's fun and stuff, but like maybe just like tone it down a bit. So we'll see. Maybe it's just gonna do the absolute opposite, and he's gonna go even harder. Yeah,
Good luck. Always, yeah, you know, you never know what you're gonna get with family members.
no, exactly.
Perfect. Well, thanks again for joining. We'll go ahead and leave it here. Everyone, check out Cath on Twitter. She is amazing. Her art is incredible. You've already seen it here. And we will see you all next week. We'll catch you soon.